unaccounted for.
I think that the community artists raised a lot of concerns over the equity of the funds and how they were being allocated, who was allowed to have access to those funds.
How the city is now handling this case of financial fraud and why local artists are now calling the discovery. The extent of California's sanctuary state policies are now being called into question by the Department of Homeland Security. Why DHS Secretary Kristi Noem argues the state's Department of Corrections isn't cooperating with federal agents.
They want chaos every single day, and so they make these ridiculous demands on us.
We're essentially negotiating to get back to even, to get back to ICE and DHS just following the Constitution.
Negotiations now at a standstill on Capitol Hill as lawmakers face a partial government shutdown by week's end if a DHS spending bill isn't passed. Why some GOP lawmakers say Democrats are holding funding hostage with their demands for reform to ICE and DHS.
You're watching Fox 26, and now, great day.
Good morning. We begin this hour with a live look at downtown Fresno. Today's high in Fresno expected to reach 65 degrees, but I don't know if that's fog, if it's just haze. I don't even know what to call that.
Yeah, maybe it's just teasing us a little bit for what to come.
I don't want any more fog. I'm done with it. Good morning on this Tuesday. I'm Liz Gonzalez.
And I'm Carl Cook. Justin Willis is off today. Thank you so much for joining us. Good news for you, though. There's no dense fog advisory today.
Good. No, it was nice. It was nice driving in and not feeling like I'm driving under it or driving through it, but just driving. Just simply driving.
Yeah, just
That's what we all want to do.
It's all you want to do, not have to worry about putting the low beams on.
One less hazard.
Less hazard.
Yeah.
But there is going to be another hazard with some rain along the way.
Okay.
But that'll be overnight. We'll kind of break it down a little bit in just a moment. I do want to start with the live radar to show you how things are looking right now, because we are seeing some sprinkles across the valley, some light rain here and there. You see those partial greens showing those chances of rain. So we'll be seeing this kind of throughout the day today. Current conditions as of right now, 51 degrees, winds at the eastern direction at 6 miles an hour. Pretty moderate right now, dew point at 49 degrees. And as far as your day planner, it's going to be cloudy all day today. Again, those chances of sprinkles happening all day long. 50s. For the most part, 55 and 59 there at noontime, 62 when we get to 5 p.m. Wind speeds will be pretty moderate, but once we get to those evening hours, we're going to see some chances of rain, and we're going to break it all down with your next weather maker, because we are going to see some heavier chances overnight, possibly some scattered thunderstorms, but we'll break that down in just a bit.
Happening today, the Fresno City Council will be holding a special meeting, and on the agenda, a discussion surrounding an embezzlement investigation focusing on the Fresno Arts Council. That's now caught the attention of the FBI. The city says more than $1.5 million in funding vanished. The Fresno Art Council, which administered some of the funds for Measure P, claims that it fell victim to unauthorized financial transactions. As a result, several projects are now on hold, while local artists who were promised the money can't complete their projects. A member of the Coalition of Artists in Fresno says that the arts community is at a loss.
It's really hard to accept the fact that FAC was a victim here, because really they're in a position of power and responsibility, and they're receiving a lot of funding as well to oversee these funds. And frankly, they don't seem to have a good handle on it.
Voters approved Measure P in 2022. It's since generated about $37.5 million for arts and parks. 12% of the funding for Measure P goes to arts and culture. Now, the remaining funds are in the hands of the city. Fresno City Manager Georgianne White sent a letter to the Arts Council terminating the city's contract with it.
Pick up the reins. We're going to learn from this, and we're going to do everything possible to not just recover the funds, but to add any additional safeguards to ensure that this does not happen again with another one of our nonprofit partners.
The city confirms that a nonprofit employee is accused of taking the funds. Today's council meeting will start at 10:15. We could learn what safeguards that the FAC had in place for the funding and whether those funds lost can be recovered. This led us to our accountability question. We reached out to every member of the Cultural Arts Plan Funding Oversight Committee to ask, how does the Parks, Recreation and Arts Commission ensure oversight of the funds that are being distributed to the Fresno arts community? We have not heard back yet. Immigration, Customs and Enforcement is now reporting there are more than 33,000 undocumented immigrants in California prisons. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem is now calling on state officials to cooperate with ICE. In 2019, the California Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation reported having roughly 124,000 inmates. About 18% of those inmates said they were born in a different country. That includes legal residents, naturalized citizens, and potential undocumented immigrants. The 18% automatically get reported to ICE, which determines the citizenship status of the inmate and whether they'll be taken into ICE custody once released from prison. If so, they get a detainer, a hold, placed on them. ICE says there are currently 33,000 illegal immigrants in California custody with active ICE detainers. Fox 26 reached out to the governor's office regarding cooperation between the CDCR and ICE. It says ICE is actually failing to get flagged inmates and said in part, quote, since they don't bother to pick up 1 out of every 8, it shows they just want to cause panic and fear to ultimately ensure compliance to a dangerous immigration agenda. And we reached out to ICE with that same question, but have not received a response. The governor's office said that since 2019, the CDCR has coordinated the transfer of 12,000 plus people into ICE custody. ICE also requests agencies to hold a detainer for up to 48 hours beyond the time they would ordinarily be released. But the CDCR's website states that it will not hold an individual past their scheduled release date, and that if ICE is not there on the day the inmate is set to be released, they miss the chance to put them in their custody. ICE says when an agency does not honor that wait time, ICE agents then have to pursue the illegal immigrant in the community, which they say is then more dangerous. A California judge is temporarily blocking the state from enforcing its ban for most law enforcement officers from wearing masks. This decision from the U.S. District Court judge grants the Trump administration's push for a preliminary injunction, saying the ban discriminates against a federal agent since it doesn't also apply to state law enforcement officers. However, the judge kept a separate law that requires federal officers in the state to have their name or badge number visible. Governor Newsroom says the ban pushes back against the federal government allowing masked agents to detain people during immigration raids.
All right, time now is 5:07. Let's get a look at the satellite radar. Not much has changed since yesterday. Just got a couple more chances of low pressure kind of pushing to bring some lower temperatures that we'll eventually feel later on in the week. And you see that high pressure that was kind of in the four corners there has moved a little bit, but that trough there still kind of looming there, kind of seeing these clouds here. For the most part. We're going to get to the Futurecast radar because that's where the big thing is happening right now. Around noontime, we're going to see some snow in the higher elevations, the foothills there. And we're also going to see some rain here in the valley. And this is going to be kind of the thing that we're going to be seeing throughout the day because it'll start clearing out. But in the North Valley, you start seeing it as well, even down in the more southern part of the valley as well, kind of getting into past Kern County and those areas getting to Southern California. But you see the chance of snow there for the foothills in the upper mountainous regions. And there's that heavy chance of rain there moving its way into the state. We're going to start seeing that later on tonight. This is around 8 p.m. We see those heavy chances of rain. So be prepared for that if you're doing anything tonight or if your commute takes you anywhere this evening. And it's going to be this way all throughout the night into the early morning hours of Wednesday. This is at 5 a.m. We're still going to be dealing with that rain and even some heavier chances of snow up in the elevated regions there. And then it'll start to clear out a little bit just for a tad, and then it's going to get back down to the rain's going to affect us again at 2:30 p.m. And then we start seeing a little bit of clearance there throughout Wednesday into those evening hours. And then Thursday, not really going to see too much, maybe just a little bit of sprinkles here and there, kind of depending where you're going to be at. But then that will start clearing out throughout the weekend until we get to Sunday where we get another chance of rain. As of right now, it looks like it's just going to be cloudy on Sunday. But Monday, it looks like it'll be a heavier chance there, around 73%. But of course, we will be keeping an eye on this to see if the system will make any changes as it gets closer to next week. You see there around 11:30 p.m. it just starts to slowly move its way into the state. Now, that snow you saw in that futurecast, that winter weather advisory that was mentioned yesterday by Justin, that is still in effect. That's going to be from 10 p.m. to Wednesday at 4 p.m. Again, that's above the 6,000 feet region. The snow inches can vary from 4 even up to 18 inches of snow. Wind gusts can be 40 to 50 miles per hour, with the heaviest snow being today, as you saw, and even those overnight hours into the early Wednesday hours. Now, travel may be difficult because of this, so be advised that it's going to be a little tricky. Take those snow chains if you absolutely need to go up there. If you don't need to travel up there, maybe make some arrangements, some advisories, anything you need to do to make sure that you are safe if you're heading over to the central Sierra Nevada mountains for today. Now, as far as your 3-day outlook, this is what I mean about those warmer temperatures, because we're still going to be in the 60s for the next few days there. 64 is going to be our high for today. And then Wednesday, you see that chance of rain from those early morning hours, 56%. But also those chance to scatter thunderstorms as well, with that heavier chance of rain being tomorrow. So do be aware for that as well. Of course, that could be something we'll be looking at tomorrow as a winter, or not a winter weather alert, but just a weather alert day. And then 62, so just a little bit of drop in temperature. And then Thursday we get back up to 64 when things start clearing out there, and the wind speeds will kind of vary around that day, 5 to 10 miles an hour. Overnight lows, though, those are going to drop. 53 for tonight, but then we get back down into the lower 40s. So 41 on Wednesday, 42 on Thursday. So be prepared if you need to change your wiper blades. Do what you can to stay safe for tonight. But coming up next, we'll get a look at your highs and lows for the rest of the valley.
Time is now 5:10. House Democrats now calling out Jeffrey Epstein's former co-conspirator for appealing for clemency after she refuses to answer questions during a deposition. While lawmakers now say it's up to President Trump to set the record straight and deny any future pardon. And a live look now at the Sphere in Las Vegas, looking like the moon there. It is 5:11 and 52 degrees right now. You can find new headlines and the weather forecast on your screen all morning long, even through the commercial break.
Hi, I'm Monty Torres with Fox 26 News on YouTube. Thank you for checking out our YouTube channel, where we have loads of great content for you to choose from. And while you're here, why not click on the subscribe button right here? That way you can stay in touch with all the latest breaking news, everything news related within the Central Valley. And thank you for watching.